What's going on, guys? Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. In this video, we're going to be talking about if Silvergate Capital is going bankrupt. So you can see Silvergate Capital stock down 60% just today. So is this an opportunity, or is this they're going to zero and we should avoid it at all costs, right? So if we take a look, Silvergate Capital topped out at $220 basically about a year and a half ago, right? So that chart is not correct. So look at this chart. That's why I say it's $220. So we have to go in a small recap of what happened to Silvergate Capital, right? So actually, after the FTX collapse, obviously a lot of Silvergate Capital's deposits were redrawn, right? Because FTX needed to redraw it to basically redraw customers. And then other basically exchanges also withdrew their capital from Silvergate Capital, right? And what Silvergate Capital is just a bank, right, actually, but it's a crypto-focused bank, right? And we can see this is second and third order effects of crypto crashing, right? So why is Silvergate Capital crashing and burning down 60% today, right? So basically yesterday, Silvergate Capital was supposed to report their earnings, and basically they couldn't report their earnings, right? And they said to the SEC, we're going to need to delay our earnings. And I think the specific words were something along the line that there may be adverse effects on whether we can continue operations, right? So basically, Silvergate Capital has come out to say that there is a potential for them to go bankrupt, right? So this is why the stock is down 60%. So if we take a look, why is Silvergate in so much trouble, right? And the answer is bonds, right? And some people might be scratching their head. What the hell are you talking about? This is crypto, and now you're talking about bonds, right? So we can see that this is second and third order effects of crypto crashing, right? And also bonds are going up in such a significant manner. Bond yields, anyways. I think there will be bigger effects, right? Like bigger companies that go down because of this crazy increase in bond yields, right? Because if you take a look, bonds went from 0.5% in 2020 to now it's 4.05% in 2020, right? That's a tenfold increase, right? And when you have a tenfold increase in bond yields, basically the bond prices come down a lot, right? And this is what really crushed Silvergate Capitals, right? Because what their business model is basically they take in deposits from this crypto company. So one of their moats is nobody else wants to serve this crypto companies. So they take in all the deposits, and basically they say, okay, since we're in a 0% yield environment, I'm not going to give you any yield on your money, and I'm just going to park all the money into treasuries, right? So in terms of that, then you can say, oh, it's very safe, right? But here arrives the problem, right? This is the problem with real estate developers in 2008 as well, right? So basically, I think the term they call it is borrowing short and lending long, right? Because this is not like shorting a stock or longing a stock, right? Basically, it's borrowing on short-term debt while longing long-term debt, right? Basically, you are getting high yields because you have long-term yields, and you have short-term very low cost of capital, right? In this case, Silvergate Capital's cost of capital was absolutely nil, right? Because all these deposits were just crypto companies. Here, take my money. I need somewhere to store my money. No other banks will touch me. Take my money. And basically what Silvergate Capital would do is take that money and park it into treasury bonds, right? So what's now causing Silvergate Capital's collapse, right? It's actually their business model, right? Because their business model, I think, is fundamentally flawed, right? So if you can attract a lot of deposits and pay 0%, and you can get 4% on that money, obviously it's very, very good, right? Because basically you'll just be a money printer, right? So this is actually a business model that two bigger companies in crypto actually have, right? Which is Tether and also Circle, right? So basically they get money on zero cost of capital, and then they just park it in treasuries and they can make back their money, right? So now you ask me, what's the problem, right? So you are getting cost of capital zero and you're getting paid on it, right? If you park it in 6 months treasury, now you get, I think, 5%. 2-year treasuries, you get 5%. So what's the problem with this business model? So the problem with this business model is if you don't know how to manage your capital reserves, what ends up happening is when you need the money, right, your bonds are lower in price, right? So you are actually essentially margin called to sell the bonds. So let's say I'm a bank and I give Silvergate Capital $5 billion, and they take all the $5 billion and basically buy bonds with it, right? What will end up happening is if I say I need $1 billion, right, you have to sell $1 billion worth of bonds. And now if during that time your $5 billion of capital went to $3 billion, right, because treasury yields rose or something, right, now actually you have a $2 billion hole, right? So if you can wait out the whole time, basically say that, oh, we need another 6 months, and your bank is, I am willing to, give you the 6 months, right? Then we will have no problem. But now the issue is all of these withdrawals came at the same time. So I don't know whether they had sufficient reserves using their projections and all. I think they did, but the issue was all of the withdrawals came at the same time during the FTX collapse, and they had to sell a lot of bonds, right? And this is why you see this gigantic $1 billion loss in one quarter as well, right? So during that time, I think their market cap was only around 1.5 billion or something like that, right? So it's a very, very significant loss, right, for this company. And you can see the shares are around $5 a share, and their EPS is negative 12.37, right? And it's even higher after this past earnings report, right? So if we take a look at whether they are going bankrupt or not, we have to go to Twitter to do our research, right? And what a time we live in, right? We're doing research on Twitter, right? If you go on Twitter and you find Coinbase's Twitter account, right? Basically, it says, at Coinbase, all client funds continue to be safe, accessible, and available in light of recent developments and out of an abundance of caution, right? So this is not a confirming statement, right? But basically, they can basically confirm it. Coinbase is no longer accepting or initiating payments to or from Silvergate, right? So if we press show this thread, then they talk about Coinbase will be facilitating institutional client cash transactions with our other banking partners and have taken proactive action to help ensure that clients experience no impact from this change. So Coinbase is basically saying that they don't want to do business with Silvergate Capital anymore. And I think this is a big issue for Silvergate Capital, right? Even if they are not going bankrupt, right? I think all these things will cause them to go bankrupt, right? Because what we have here is a good old fashioned run on the bank, right? And if we take a look at Circle, we maintain relationships with several banking partners. We are sensitive to the concerns around Silvergate Capital and are in the process of unwinding certain services with them and notifying customers, right? So basically, if you want the long story short, I do think Silvergate Capital is going to crash and burn and go to zero, right? So if you're enjoying the video so far, do help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell button and press on all, right? So this will really help out the channel. And also watch till the end, right? Because obviously you don't want to miss any important information. And I think one more lesson you can really take from this is really looking at Tether and Circle, right? So they have a lot of cash reserves, that is correct. So if we take a look at CoinGecko, right, you can see that USDT actually has a $71 billion market cap and USDC has a $43 billion market cap, right? So up to this point, Tether and also USDC have survived this market crash, right? But one thing to note is that their treasury is so big, right, that even if they are, let's say, actually they don't have this $71 billion, let's say they have $50 billion, but there is no $50 billion worth of withdrawal at the same time, right? This is the concern with Tether, right? They have gotten so big, right, that let's say they can use some Ponzi-ish scheme kind of tactics to avoid defaulting, right? Basically, default is if there is a withdrawal and Tether doesn't pay out the withdrawal, and that will be counted as a default, and basically everyone will have a run on the bank on Tether, right? And I think they have gotten so big that even if this amount, the cash that they have is 50 billion, right? We wouldn't be able to tell, right? Because you can see how long FTX went on for, and they had what, I think 14 billion or something total assets. And Tether has 71 billion that has gone into it. So they have interest payments coming out from there, gushing cash as well. So Tether actually is a very profitable business model if they didn't screw up and buy treasury bonds at 0%, right? Which I think they would have, right? So that's just my suspicion, right? So I think these two are also at risk of collapsing. USDC not so much because they are regulated by a lot of institutions in United States, right? So it's very hard for them to try to skim off the top or do something very weird, right? Let's say if they don't actually have the reserves to do it, I think they'll get caught very quickly, right? But that's just depending on government regulators, right? And I wouldn't put too much faith in government regulators after what has happened. So next, if we take a look at the Bitcoin price, so actually during the Silvergate Capital fiasco, when the stock was down 60%, nothing much happened to Bitcoin, right? Actually, it was at this 23,000. It was just hovering here. And this morning when I woke up, it was still okay. And then in 1 hour, basically it dropped 6%, right? So sorry, 5.4%, right? And that is a really big drop, especially for 1 hour, right? And sometimes you can see these things have lags, right? Basically this Silvergate Capital Corporation. So this is why markets are not perfectly efficient, right? So I wouldn't attribute the dump 100% to this Silvergate issue. But I think definitely there has to be some connection, right? Because there is no big news and it's down 1 hour like that. So maybe it's just technical trading, who knows? But even if you take a look at Silvergate Corporation, right, to show you that markets are not perfectly efficient, right? This is a company that, has a chance to go bankrupt, right? But also, maybe when there are these distressed assets, there is opportunity as well. You can see that it went from basically $7 to $8.50 in a matter of minutes, and then at the end of the day it's back at 570, right? So I think I will be digging deeper into this situation, checking out if Silvergate Capital is actually an opportunity, right? Because if I scroll down here, I think Ken Griffin actually has a 5% stake in Silvergate Capital, right? So maybe they are interested in buying over and doing some interesting things, right? But I think for my current point of view is that they are going bankrupt, and their hole on their balance sheet might be really huge, right? Like FTX, right? So even if they have some IP or whatever, we will have to go through a bankruptcy proceeding, because no one will be able to buy over this corporation and basically restructure it, right? Or no one is willing to buy over this corporation, right? Because imagine if Silvergate Capital's balance sheet has a negative $1 billion hole in it right now. I don't think anyone will want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, right? So yeah, that's about all I wanted to share today. If you did enjoy the video, do help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell button. With that being said, have a fantastic day ahead, and peace out.